Okay, so in our first notebook, we're going to start by doing two things. First, we're going to tell the notebook to produce the graphs inline. That's what this matplotlib notebook command does. And then we're going to import the plotting library and the numpy library with these two lines: the import matplotlib.pyplot as plt and the import numpy as np. The other thing we're doing is abbreviating these libraries so that every time we don't have to type matplotlib.pyplot. Instead, we'll just type plt, and instead of numpy, we'll just refer to everything from the numpy library as np. Once you have those typed, go ahead, Shift Enter. That'll execute the cell. That's how we execute cells in the Jupyter notebook. And as you see, it pops up another cell. We're going to go ahead and change this cell to a Markdown cell, which is where we'll type text. And I want you to type pound space calculator, Shift Enter, and as you see, that produces a header, first level header. There's different level headers named calculator, and we're just going to look at basic computation: 2 plus 3, Shift Enter, subtraction, multiplication is the asterisk sign, division is / exponents, 2 asterisks. Okay, so that's the basic calculation. I want to change this to another Markdown cell, pound space, and we're going to look at variables, Shift Enter. So I can assign with the equal sign, just like we're used to in math class, a variable like a equals 4. So now anytime that I type a, I'm really referring to something that contains a value of 4, and I can operate it on it just like I was above with the calculator. I can multiply, divide, exponentiate, and so on. Also, then I can change the value of it. So now that it's 5, and again, so now I get something back different if I multiply it. Okay. Again, I'm going to put a Markdown cell. Now we're going to look at lists. Shift Enter. And so I'm going to name this list A equals brackets 1, 2, 3, 4. So now instead of a single value, I have a collection of values assigned to a variable, and the collection of values is indexed. So in other words, this is the first value of my variable A. This thing called a list, this is the first thing in here. Second thing, third thing, fourth thing. So A is a list with 4 elements. The thing to be careful of in Python is that the way that these are indexed is, even though this is the first thing in a list, we're going to refer to it as the 0th element. So I can call these specific elements of a list by their index, and as you see, a of 0 is 1, not what you might expect a of 1 to be. A of 1 is the second element of the list. So we can refer to these individually. We can refer to them as collections, and as you notice, the last value here, the third entry, which would be 4, is not included. Okay, it includes the first one but excludes the stopping value. We can also use single indexes both as a stop and starting place for these lists when we refer to elements of them. And lastly, we can plot these lists. So we're going to get in the habit of, every time we want to make a plot, creating a new figure with the notebook command. So the first thing we're going to do is create a figure, and then all I have to do is say plt.plot a, and there I've created a plot of those 4 points, right? Now I can go back and change a few things with this, namely, let's change the marker, and you see that now I have a dash line with points plotted at the values of that list. There's a lot of customizations available in matplotlib. We'll look at more of them, but to finish up, let's look at the help command And any function that we want help with, we can always look at the help command for it. And if we execute plt.plot with a question mark after it, we see the documentation for all of the different line styles, markers, etc., etc. And you can explore this and change up the plot that we just made pretty easily using just this documentation.